Good evening and welcome to all of you. I am so pleased to see you all here. Next slide, please. First of all,
Lakshmi, I have to go over some logistics first. Thank you. 1 second. Thank you all for being here. We're excited to have you join us today. The first bit of information I'd like to share with you all is that we will be recording this session. We have disabled the chat box for you guys who are used to Zoom, and we'll be accepting questions from you to our panelists through the Q&A box, which you're welcome to use throughout this session. If you have any friends or family who are unable to join us today, they will be able to see the recording that will be hosted on our multiple websites at UCSD that we'll make sure you get the link to after this broadcasting. Welcome to the Accepted Students and Family webinar. My name is Dr. Ebene Williams. I currently serve as the Interim Assistant Vice Chancellor of Student Retention and Success, and I have the privilege of being your moderator today. With that, I'd like to introduce our panelists. There are several people who are on the call that will not be speaking today, but are here to answer your questions. But there is a beautifully talented group of individuals who are here to answer your questions today. So separate from myself, I have Dr. Patty Mahaffey, who serves as our Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Life. I have Dr. Lakshmi Chulakuri, who's also a professor here and serves as the Provost of Sixth College. I'll introduce our student panel later. Dr. Angela Sosha is the Interim Executive Director for Student Health and Wellbeing. We will also have an alumni, Matt Newsom, here from the class of '91 to talk about what great things have happened in his life since he became a part of our Triton family. And last but not least, a lot of you are here for housing concerns. We have Pachia Vu, who's a manager for our undergraduate student accounts in housing dining, which we call in hospitality, HDH here at UCSD, who also happens to be an alumni. So thank you all for being here. And with that, we will have our introduction by our provost who represents, who will be welcoming you.
thanks. Hi, everyone. I guess I jumped the gun earlier, but I was so excited to have you all here. And I wanted to say, first of all, congratulations. As of now, you're a Triton, you're part of our family. You've worked really, really hard to get here. And we're so happy that you will be part of our huge family. Could I have the next slide, please? So in case you're wondering, this is one big university. It is a fantastic research and wonderful university, and it is broken down into 7 undergraduate colleges. So you've all probably been wondering a little bit about us, but I will start off with letting you know that we have a brand new college, 7th College, which is based on a theme called The Changing Planet, which is very exciting. Now, I wouldn't also be very correct if I didn't tell you that 6th College is also a wonderful college, and I'm going to start off with bragging and tell you that we have a brand new facility, and that's the screensaver, that's the background you're seeing behind me right now. But let me tell you that the rest of our colleges, the remaining 5, are also fantastic, and we have a history of making you welcome and making sure that there are lots of ways for you to participate. So next slide, please. So UC San Diego is one of our top ranking universities, and I could run through a whole lot of statistics on who we are, but I think you know that already because you picked us. But we have over 38,000 students in more than 150 majors and lots and lots and lots of faculty, all of whom are just waiting to interact with you. So why do we have the colleges? Well, with such a huge university, it's great to have a system which allows you to build community very, very quickly. And that system, folks, is our colleges. Next slide, please. So the colleges are your home away from home. We welcome you the day you move in. Well, actually, let me make a correction. We welcome you before the day you move in. Those of you who have been looking out all know that we already have our academic advisors on board to talk to you about your classes. Our student affairs people are there advising you about all our student orgs and things that you can get involved in. So yeah, we start before. And the last hand you will shake when you graduate will be a college staff member. All right, so you are ours from the day you begin to the day you leave. Well, we have 7 distinct communities. Each has its own flavor of general education requirements and traditions. And let me tell you, some of those traditions are just so fantastic. You're going to want to know a lot about them. So reach out to your student affairs staff right now. They're going to tell you everything you need to know. And you'll experience a sense of community that you might find at a small liberal arts college by working with us. Now, right off the bat, I would suggest you go to your Compass website, and I think that might be my next slide. So I would suggest you go to the Compass website because that is a quick way to know all you need to know about the colleges. And it also gives you a great way to start with your checklist of things that you need to do before you come here. And there's the Virtual Student Center, which already is populated with a lot of information on how we are handling this present situation, but also all the things that our students do. So we look forward to having you here. We look forward to all the questions you're going to ask us, and keep asking, because the more you ask, the more answers you're going to get. And with that, I'll hand you off now to my colleague, Dr. Sosha.
Well, welcome this evening. So I'm going to be speaking to some of the things we've done to prepare for this fall in a very unique time in our world, where we are facing a virus that has created challenges in so many different ways, but it has really impacted as we think about campus life. And we have tried to harness the talent within the university to really think through how do we use the science, our skills, and innovation to create as safe a campus environment as we can in face of a viral pandemic that is not going to disappear in the next couple of months. So we're really going to be looking to how things evolve over the summer. We can't have a final plan at the moment because we know the global, national, and local situation continues to change. So we're going to continually be adjusting our model with every point of reducing the risk of viral transmission on campus to every extent possible, as well as supporting any individuals who may, unfortunately, acquire this virus. So our goal is early detection. So what we really want to do is find any individual who is shedding virus or if they're becoming ill, and provide them with support medically as well as safe housing if they are an on-campus resident. To do that, we're going to be looking for viral activity in the waste streams of many of our buildings. This is a new innovation as well. And we're going to be assessing the ability to look for asymptomatic shedding of virus among our campus community. And I will share with you a very unique pilot that we began. In fact, we're in week 3 of this new pilot to look at self-testing for asymptomatic shedding. The idea behind that is to very quickly reduce a spread of any virus, of the COVID-19 virus within the campus community. Right? We also want to know that there is a possibility that a student could acquire the infection, the COVID-19 disease, and they may not have minimal symptoms or they may have mild symptoms. They don't need to be in a hospital, but we need to provide them with safe isolation housing on campus. And we've developed a very good system so that they can be moved from their current dorm location into housing with a private bathroom, a private bedroom. At the time they're there, they will get meal service, they will get medical check-ins, mental health check-ins, other support. We've delivered Tylenol, we've delivered laundry detergent, and we will help those students get through that period of isolation. We also want to make sure that any student who may have been exposed to another individual with the COVID has an opportunity to self-isolate on campus in a very safe environment until they're through that quarantine period. So we've had a chance to develop this over the last few months. Luckily, we've rarely had to use it, and our students, of the very few who've had a problem with the COVID-19, have done very, very well. But we have a very good system to be able to support anybody who should inadvertently acquire this virus. All right, and the really important thing I want to stress is how we're going to continue to adapt and adjust this model and learn as we go. Next slide, please. So the idea is we have to think about the community that we live in and the spread of the virus. One of the things that we know that will reduce the chance of this virus spreading is by de-densifying the community, making it a little less crowded. So how do we do that? We do this through thinking about the housing within the dorms. We also think about class sizes. We think about other activities. So we're going to be reducing large volume activities and spreading it out with the idea that if we create more space around individuals, we have less chance of the virus moving from one individual to another. We'll be masking probably. San Diego County has a masking. When you're outside of your home, you wear a mask. So it will be, in all likelihood, you will see individuals wearing a lot of creative face coverings. And it's not just medical mask. In fact, it's a face covering. So we're going to see some very creative face coverings around our campus this fall. We also just have to think about just all of our spaces. So there are groups that are looking very carefully to look at smart solutions to de-intensify the intensity of individuals. I'm trying to get that word right, but basically spread us out very safely, but also keep us together. Next slide. So what we began a few weeks ago is a special pilot program of students, those living already on campus, voluntarily self-swabbing to get a sample, which could then go to a laboratory and be tested in a standard format for the presence of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which causes the disease of COVID-19. Because our students are all enrolled into our electronic medical record, those results were back in the student's medical record chart within 24 to 48 hours. We want to try and get as close to 24 as possible so they get the results immediately. This pilot has been incredibly informative. We've tested over 1,200 students to date, and they've all been negative. We've learned a lot from our students because they've told us, how do you give us instructions so we can do this all by ourselves? We don't need a doctor or a nurse or nurse practitioner standing next to us. We can actually do this testing, and it's not that hard. Currently, we've been doing nasal swabs. We hope to be moving to oral swabs and using saliva. And the idea is to demonstrate that we can test lots of individuals on a regular basis. And if we see virus popping up, we can get to those individuals, we can get them safety, and then we can reduce the spread in our community. So we're very excited about this project. It's quite unique in the country, and it has gone very well. And our students have been incredibly helpful in teaching us and helping us understand how to do this operationally. Next slide. This is just an example of kind of the boards that we're setting up, and you can see there are self-instructions on those A-frames that walk an individual through how to do your self-testing. So I wanted to share with you that project. And again, we have created, if you are a student who will be living on campus, we've got a very good way to move you into a housing on campus with your own bathroom, your own bedroom. You will get meals delivered. Student health will be checking on you every day to make sure you're okay. The mental health providers will be available to you, and you'll be able to continue your classwork remotely. So we want everyone to feel very good about this process, and we've seen it in action. It works super great. Next slide. So I represent a cluster called Student Health and Wellbeing, and we're really here to support the whole person care of our students while they're on campus through a variety of efforts. Our cluster, next slide, is made up of actually 4 sections. They include the student health services, your classic medical health, the counseling and psychological services team, as well as health promotion. And then there's an administrative infrastructure. Next slide. So Student Health Service is really a very great team which provides both primary care and urgent care, as well as a variety of specialty care services for our students. So we really try and be responsive to our student needs. We actually have an advisory committee, and they give us signals about what kind of medical services they need, and we respond to that. Next slide. On-site, we have pharmacy, laboratory, x-ray, optometry, a variety of things, as well as nutrition services, nurse advice, and acupuncture. So you can see it's a wide breadth of services. Next slide, when the student health service isn't open, there's after-hours support with clinicians who take the calls. And if you should need acute care and really be seen by someone, we're integrated with UC San Diego Health. They have an urgent care as well as emergency room services. As I mentioned, we have a fantastic electronic medical record. It's the nationally leading electronic medical record, which has lots of features, including self-scheduling, bi-directional communication with your provider, as well as supporting telemedical visits. So our students who've been remote this last quarter have been able to stay in touch with their primary care providers, can have visual medical visits with them, and get ongoing care. So we're really fortunate to have such a strong electronic medical record and system, because this is done very securely, totally protecting privacy in a very nice way that's user-friendly. Next slide. It's important that I share with you that one of the requirements of the University of California is that and this is true for all universities, that students have to have some form of health insurance. Luckily, the University of California has developed a self-insurance, which is quite affordable and comprehensive for our students. Students will be enrolled in SHIP unless they have an alternative insurance plan that meets certain requirements. So it's important you find out if you are covered under your parents' or your own personal insurance and they meet the requirements, then you don't need UC SHIP. If you don't, you may want to actually take advantage of UC SHIP because it's a very competitive in terms of price and a very comprehensive program. Also, if you do have other insurance, we offer something called RAF, which for a small fee every quarter, $65, you're able to get some of your services free right at Student Health Services right on campus. Next slide. CAPS is our psychological counseling service. Great team. We know that this is a stressful period in life for everyone and that mental health services are a high priority. And we have a group of individuals who are committed to helping our students be as mentally healthy and develop skills to navigate life as they go forward. Next slide. The CAPS team offers general services, individual therapy, group counseling. We also have focused psychiatry service. We serve the students at 13 different locations. There is an urgent care service, and we've really leveraged telemental health. It has been really picked up by our students, and over the spring quarter, we've kept up. In fact, we've expanded mental health services to our students using telemental health. We also have a program with our college mental health Department of Psychiatry for students who have really complicated mental health needs and need really full support, ongoing support of a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist. And they work in collaboration with the CAPS team. So we can provide a full spectrum of mental health support for our students. And then our last next slide. Our last element of the team is our health promotion. And this is really a team that goes out and proactively really works on education awareness on a variety of different issues that are of high importance to the young individuals on our campus community. And these individuals we'll see are big advocates for you and available to provide individual support, but also group education as well. And they have a zone, which is right in the central of campus. I can tell you one of the things, they have fluffies where we bring dogs in so the students can get a little love from those four-legged friends they may have had to leave behind. So the health promotion team is really there, and the entire cluster is committed to thinking about you in all aspects of your wellness. All right, and now I get an opportunity to share with our colleagues. I'm going to pass the baton to Chia Vu, who will talk about housing and dining.
Hi everyone, my name is Pachia and I'm from Housing, Dining, Hospitality, or HDH for short, and I'll be talking about on-campus housing. Next slide, please. At this time, with the information that we have, it is our intention to keep our housing facilities open in the fall. Incoming freshmen and transfer students are eligible for our 2-year housing guarantee as long as all admissions and housing deadlines are met. Students who are interested in living on campus should first make sure that they submit their housing application by the following deadline dates. For incoming freshmen, the deadline was May 8th, and for incoming transfers, the deadline is June 8th. You can access the housing application via your Triton checklist, which is available after you accept your offer of admissions. Submitting this application lets us know that you are interested in living on campus and allows us to move on to allows you to move on to the next step of the process, which is the housing contract process. This piece begins on Thursday, June 11th, and must be completed by June 30th to secure your space on campus for next year. Once you complete the housing contract process, you'll be able to provide us with your room type preference, which for this upcoming year is either a single or a double. We no longer have any triples on campus and will not have triples next year. You'll also be able to provide us with a roommate request, and you'll be able to apply to one of our optional living learning communities on campus. More information about all of this, including the living learning communities, will be emailed to you and will also be available online at hdh.ucsd.edu. Now, if you're a student who happened to miss one of our housing deadlines, please reach out to us directly at our office at housinginfo@ucsd.edu, and we'll take a look and review the options available to you. Next slide, please. So our incoming first-year freshmen typically live in their college of registration. We'll assign students to the residence halls first and then continue into the apartments if needed. Our incoming transfer students will be living their first year in the 7th College apartments. All of our colleges, with the exception of 7th College, have both a set of residence halls and a set of apartments. 7th College only has apartments. You're probably wondering what the difference is between a residence hall and an apartment. Res halls are more dorm-like, where they have a main common area, bedrooms, and a shared bathroom, but no kitchen. And apartments are exactly that. They have a common area, kitchen, shared bathroom, and bedrooms. Now, we do assign all of our incoming freshmen and incoming transfer students in their first year of housing, and students will find out their assigned space and their roommates in late August. That's also when you're going to be selecting your dining plan. This year, move-in weekend is September 26th and 27th, but depending on your situation, for example, when you plan to do orientation, there may be earlier move-in times available to you. If you look over to the right of the screen, we've listed the total cost of housing and dining for the whole academic year. Your cost is going to depend on the facility type you're in, whether you're a res hall or an apartment, your room type, whether you're a single or a double room, and the dining plan you select. And as you can see, there are 2 dining plans to pick from. Please note that the price listed is already inclusive of the dining plan in that particular column. And don't worry, more information about the dining plans, as well as our entire dining program, is going to be emailed to you in July to help you prepare for selecting which plan is right for you. Next slide, please. So what does living on campus entail, and what's included in this housing package? Firstly, you get a flexible dining plan. We are an a la carte dining program, not an all you care to eat. So when you get your dining plan, whether you select the 3570 or the 5355, that entire amount is put on your campus ID card, and you can use it as you like. So you can walk into any one of our dining facilities and purchase an apple and only pay for that apple. We've got 24/7 security on campus because UCSD has their very own police department that only services our campus. In addition to campus police, we have RSOs who walk throughout our communities from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Utilities are included, as well as streaming cable TV and wireless internet. We also provide housekeeping, so our custodial staff will clean the common areas, kitchen, and bathroom once a week in the apartments and 3 times a week in the rest halls. You'll have access to laundry facilities, recreation, and workout facilities. Of course, since you'll be on campus, you'll be super close to your classes and to the beach. In addition to campus events, you'll also have community events. And last but not least, you'll have access to Res Life staff, including a director of Res Life, assistant director of Res Life, and RAs that actually live on site and are here for you. So there are lots of things that are included in living on campus. I know our students are probably wondering what living on campus will be like in the fall with regards to programming and dining, but it really will depend on what the situation looks like at that point. We are really working closely with and following all directives from our local public health authorities because your safety is very important to us. So I encourage you to continue to visit our web, hdh.ucsd.edu, for all our updates to both housing and dining services. Next slide, please. We do offer housing for undergrad students who have a spouse, partner, and or children in our family housing communities, which are listed here on this slide. As an incoming student, you would still have that 2-year housing guarantee, but it would be in one of these communities instead. If this is something you are interested in, please be sure to mark yes when you apply for housing under the family housing question, and we'll send you more information about that process in early June. Next slide, please. Summer housing is available for our students who are in need of housing and will be attending summer classes. So if you are planning to take a course over the summer and will be needing housing on campus, just head to our website, hdh.ucsd.edu, and click on summer housing to apply. We offer housing for one session, either summer session 1 or 2, or you can opt to live on campus for the entire summer. More information can be found by visiting our web. Next slide, please. And for our students who are not taking classes over the summer, but who may need flexible housing accommodations, we do have a short-term housing transition program available. This program is available from June 15th through September 5th. Our incoming students who have accepted their offer of admission are eligible for this program. The cost is $49 per day for a single occupancy bedroom in a shared apartment. There will be weekly custodial cleanings in common areas, the kitchen and bathroom. Please note that this price point does not include a dining plan. So if you're a student that is in need of housing during this time, go ahead and head over to hdh.ucsd.edu and the application is available there. Next slide, please. Okay, that's all for me. So our contact information is listed on this slide. So if we don't get to your question today via the Q&A, or if you think of something later, please feel free to contact us. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and pass it back to Ebony so we can move on to the next slide.
Thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying this out there and getting information and questions answered. As you can hear, we're very excited to have you and prepared. And what was most fun about the transition and being back is I get the privilege of introducing you to all the Tritons. So with no further ado, we have an alumni joining us, Matt Newsom. He currently works at Cubic as a vice president and general manager. He also serves on our alumni board of directors. So he has a few encouraging words for you future Tritons. Thank you, Matt, for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And welcome fellow Tritons. It's exciting. I'm trying to see how many people are on the call. Quite a few. This might be my biggest Zoom meeting yet. So if you see by the picture I have up there, I needed some new Zoom background. So believe it or not, this weekend or last weekend, I met with my freshman roommate, who is still one of my best friends. And we walked around to all of our favorite old places and all around the campus. And it just brings back fantastic memories. So I graduated in 1991 from Revelle College. I was a mechanical engineering major and have now been at Cubic for 29 years. Started in mechanical engineering and now I'm the general manager for Cubic. I've been so involved with the university. It made such a great difference in my life. The friends I met, the experiences I had, the leadership that I learned. But now I'm on the alumni board. So what's an alumni board? So that's some of our most, we like to say, hyper engaged alumni who come back to really help students and to help those who have graduated come back to campus and share what they have. And really it's about philanthropy for students too. It's how can we help students who really need some help getting through all of the difficulties of college. And that isn't just money. That's time, it's our talent, it's our treasure. So I've started a lot of mentorship programs. I was on the phone today with a wonderful student talking about what life is like being now as a student. I think I probably get mentored more now than I mentor. The other thing we do too as alums, we do a lot with internships. So those of you that are looking for work maybe in your first, second, third year, I have a lot of programs at Cubic where we love to bring in UCSD students. And we have a great time and do some really cool projects. And I work with a lot of companies around the campus and around San Diego that help us do that. And then we do a lot of programs with students too, whether it's just meet an alum. We have programs called Meet the Boss where you can learn more about what it's like to be in a career, whether you're interested in finance or engineering, social work, anything. We bring all sorts of alum in to help our students. So that's kind of what the board does, and the board brings we have 200,000 proud alumni out there. We haven't found them all, but we found quite a few, and bringing them back is a lot of fun because we like to really ignite the relationship between the students and the alumni, because you are all going to be alumni very soon. So I hope you really get a lot out of the session. Like I said, I've been very involved with the campus for a long time. Alumni is a wonderful network. When I started at UCSD, I didn't know really much how the alumni helped, but we're reaching out with all sorts of arms and tentacles to do all we can to make sure that the student experience is really something that you remember, you cherish, and it's something that you want to give back because you've had such a great time. So thank you for having me speak today, and happy to answer questions as we go.
Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you for staying on the call. We'll have some Q&A time. So if students, our participants have questions for you, we'll bring that in. But to keep going on this Triton panel of Triton World, we have a whole student panel that is taking time out of their active lives on campus as current students right now dealing with COVID-19. Some are graduating, some are looking forward to what fall looks like, just like you. So I have asked each one of them to answer 2 questions. You can see who we have. We have Adrash, we have Luisa, Yacinda, and Christopher. You can see their majors and their different home locations. And so hopefully you'll be able to gain some great knowledge from them, as I have, just getting to know them to get ready for this. So with that, I'm going to start with Adrash. What advice would you give to incoming students?
So, hi everyone. I think the first and most important thing, and this is advice I would give to any college student, but it's to get involved. I entered UCSD as a transfer student, and therefore it meant that I really only had 2 years here. And I would not have been able to accomplish as much as I did during my time here, or gotten to know as many people, or really enjoyed my time in college had I not gotten involved in as many things I could get my hands on as soon as I got to campus. Obviously, things are a little bit different given that we don't know how the situation is going to look in the fall for a lot of different activities. But it's really, really important to get engaged with your campus community so that when we find ourselves in a position where we can enjoy the full in-person college experience, that you don't feel left behind and you don't feel like you missed out any opportunities that you would have otherwise taken.
Thank you, Adrash. I'm going to stay with you and ask your second question. How has UC San Diego responded to COVID-19, in your opinion?
So, for those of you who don't know, I'm in the unique position in student government to actually be able to observe the way that administration has responded in real time to the crisis. And unlike a lot of schools in the country that where closing down the school and moving to online education happened during spring break, and indeed many schools across the country closed for an extra week so that they would have time to prepare, UCSD made its transition to online education during finals week. And for all of my fellow students on the panel, I'm sure that you can attest that that was a very complicated transition. But UCSD has pivoted extremely quickly, and I would say extremely successfully as well. As a huge research university, we are privileged to be at the forefront of educational development, both in the online world and in classroom settings as well. And that means that our faculty was able to effectively switch from an in-person mode of instruction to online. As a graduating senior, I would say that the quality of my education was not at all compromised by switching to online, because even though I'm not in the classroom with my professors anymore, it's still the same world-class faculty that's teaching me all of the material that I would have otherwise been able to get in person. So I would really give it an A+ in terms of its transition. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to go to Louisa. Louisa, how have you thrived in the remote learning environment?
Well, hello, first of all. I feel like something that I've been doing for like classes online and everything is keeping a planner, especially for me because I'm from Brazil, so I'm back home, and the time zones are different. Everything is very different. So by keeping a planner, I can keep busy and not like waste the whole day, I guess. So I write down when my classes are, when I'm going to work out, when I'm going to do homework, when I have club meetings and everything, I write it down so that I always know and I can always keep track of what I'm supposed to do. And it's been helping me a lot. I feel like I've been very productive.
Excellent. Thank you, Louisa. What is your favorite thing to do on campus for those students who make the move and decide to come join us in person in the fall?
Oh, there's a lot of things that I like doing on campus. I feel like my two top things would be probably watching the sunset. If you're near, there's one of the halls called Tioga Hall, and going to the last floor of Tioga Hall and watching the sunset is just one of the best things. So I would do that with my friends all the time. And then we would just talk. And then at night, what's something I'd love to do was to go to the markets and get ice cream, because they have 99 cents ice cream and it's open till 1 a.m. So if you're studying and at like midnight, you kind of get hungry, or you could go for something sweet, for 99 cents, you get a lot of ice cream. So that's something that I really enjoyed to do on campus.
Thank you so much, Louisa. Christopher, why are you proud to be a Triton?
Hi, everyone. I think I'm really proud to be a Triton just because of the community that I built on campus. I've been able to be a part of a lot of different social groups, such as the like Mere Musical and Company 157, which is another theater org, and also I'm a part of the First Gen community. And I think being a part of all these different types of groups and getting to know people has really just kind of elevated my experience here. And it made me to love everyone and sort of get this pride in UCSD by going to events with them and being a part of those events, and just like this. So I guess that's why I'm really proud to be a Triton.
I just want to highlight he joined a lot of theater orgs, but his major is nano engineering. I just thought I'd acknowledge that. What resources have you used during your time as a student at UC San Diego, Christopher?
I've used a lot of resources while at UCSD. I've used the Sustainability Resource Center. I've used the Zone. The Zone is a great place for like relaxing and sort of de-stressing. They have a lot of awesome events. Highly recommend. They have therapy fluffies, which is like they bring in dogs that you can pet and sort of relax with. So great. I've used like that financial aid office. I've definitely used all my college resources like the academic advising office, the virtual advising center. I've used student success coaching program because I'm like a part of it. I've used Geisel a lot of times, definitely a lot of times. Geisel is like the hub for studying. Yeah, I've used the study abroad office a lot when I was planning to go abroad. Really helpful too as well. Career Services Center, I actually recently did an online resume workshop with them. That was pretty helpful. And yeah, and of course I've also used the health services that UCSD offers on campus as well. And I believe that ends my list. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Christopher. But last but not least is Jacinda. How have you thrived in this remote learning environment?
Hi, everyone. So the best thing that I've learned and that I tell my students, because I work with first-year students, is to try to keep your schedule very similar to how you would if we weren't in quarantine. So for me, it'd be like wake up, get coffee, go to class, do work between classes, go to another class, and then do more work depending on the day. And it can be really easy to forget what day it is, to forget what time it is, and just not know what's going on during your week. So to say like classes in college can be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, or like a Tuesday, Thursday class. So to be like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this is the lecture I have to go to, and this is what I'm going to do when I'm going to do it. Just like setting those little goals for yourself and making sure you give yourself structure, especially like when you're in high school, you have the like 8 to 3:30, and then say like you do your sport, you have a really set structure. And if that's something that you need, like I definitely need it, try to make that for yourself. And because you're able to craft it for yourself, make it something that works for you. Like you don't have to do things that you don't want to. That's the great thing about college, is you make your own schedule. So make one that works for you and try to stick to it. And I will say that it has worked for me, and many of my students will not promise that it will work for you, but can say it has had very much success in the past.
You may have already answered it, but do you have any advice for any incoming students?
Advice that is not that. It's going to sound really cheesy, and I've been a freshman. I know things sound cheesy a lot, but it's really easy to forget the things that you like to do, like your hobbies and the things that make just like your day-to-day a little bit easier. Like if you do a sport, if you like drawing or reading or journaling, it's so easy to forget all of the things that ever made you happy once you go straight into a college academic environment. So I would always recommend like building that into said schedule if you make one. And joining an org is such a great way to remember your hobbies. Like if you join, say like, I joined this concert org, so I plan a concert every year. And it reminds me that I love music and I love listening to music and talking to people about music. You build it into your everyday life and you're getting that experience and making sure that you're keeping it with you. And I would just recommend that you keep that in mind. Remember what makes you happy, especially like now, even more so.
Thank you for that non-cheesy, authentic advice as someone who was recently a first year, as you acknowledged. We're getting ready to go in Q&A, but before I close the panel, are there any final words from any of our student panelists? I know I gave you scripted questions. Do any of you have anything you want to say before I go into the larger Q&A? Just unmute yourself. No? Okay, cool, excellent. They said they gave you everything they had, and they put it all on the line already for you. Thank you again for those words of wisdom. Right now, we're going to get into the question and answer, and how we're going to do this is, I know you've been getting questions answered. We've had over 54 questions answered already while the session has been going on. There's about 14 that are still available. But we're going to kick off this Q&A with we have the pleasure of having our Assistant Vice Chancellor of Student Life joining us today. And Dr. Mahaffey, are there any words you'd like to add around student life at UCSD, or anything that we haven't said so far that you'd love our accepted students to hear?
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of great information that's been shared. And hello, everybody. I've just been kind of perusing the Q&A section, and it seems like a lot of questions have been coming up just about what the experience is going to be like in the fall for new students. Are they going to have a chance to meet new students? And I want to assure everybody that that the staff in student life and the staff in the colleges and our continuing students are all working really hard to robust welcome week and an orientation program, and to welcome you all to the campus, and provide you lots of opportunities to make connections with new students and other students. We don't know all the details yet of how all of this will get facilitated, because we are managing that on the daily, but we are got lots of plans for the fall and things that we'll be able to do remotely and in person, so that we can connect new students with each other. So I want to just make sure that you all are assured of that is a #1 goal. And it's our hope that, attending UCSD, that you will find your niche on campus and find a place of connection and a sense of belonging while you're here. And I think our students that you heard from just a little bit ago all talked a little bit in varying ways of how they have made that connection work for themselves. So we will do everything that we can to help support you in that journey. And then there were just a few questions that maybe some of the students can answer. There was just a few questions about orientation, about picking classes. So if you could just kind of go back in time a little bit to when you were a first-year student coming in, or your first quarter on campus, and how you went through orientation, or how you managed some of that anxiety around talking to an academic advisor, picking out your classes, and how that all worked out for you, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Mahaffey.
Do any of the students want to take that question?
Yeah, Christopher's unmuted, so yes. Thank you, Dr. Mahaffey. Christopher, go for it.
Hi. Yeah, I'd recommend just being very active in checking your email, because I feel like a lot of information is sent through that, especially now, more than ever. And it can possibly be buried. So any useful information could possibly be in an email, or if not, searching online, anything like questions, even like classes, UCSD. That's what I did, because when I came in as a freshman, I didn't even know I had to register for classes until one of my friends was like, hey, are you in this session? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he was like, did you not sign up for math? And I'm like, what? So that's kind of my advice. And usually like the college pages online has their pamphlets about like what classes you can take and the different GEs and what counts as GEs. And that might be a little helpful too. So that's my advice.
Great advice, Christopher. Anybody else want to chime in on orientation or getting registered for classes, making friends? No?
I guess one piece about
We'll go with Rush and then Louisa. Go for it.
Sorry, I didn't realize someone else was speaking. One piece of advice for, in general, not only to do with class registration, but also just staying on track and making sure that you're taking the appropriate classes is something that I didn't do, but I should have done. It's super easy. Once a quarter, it takes 10 minutes. Go and meet with your academic counselor. It is the easiest way to get off track and then realize that you need to spend an extra quarter before graduation is by not being completely aware of where you are in relation to graduation. And it's a very simple thing to make an appointment with an academic advisor, either within your department or within your college. Once you're on campus, it doesn't take very long to be in the appointment and for them to confirm that you're making satisfactory degree progress. And it's something that, as a peer counselor, I work in the transfer center. As a peer counselor, I see this happen all the time, where very, very simple issues could have been resolved if people just took the time once a quarter to have a 10-minute appointment with their academic counselor. So I can't push enough that it is the easiest thing to do to make sure that you don't end up spending an extra $15,000 for another quarter.
Louisa?
Yeah, I was kind of going to say practically the same thing, but in case you're a little intimidated, maybe trying to talk, if you know someone that's like an upperclassman or a grade above. If you don't, you can talk to me. But I felt like when I was a freshman, I was a little intimidated to like talk to advisors. So I knew one person that was at UCSD, and it's incredible how much students learn when they're enrolling in classes and how much advice they can give. So I would say also reach out if you know any upperclassmen or other students that are currently enrolled.
I just want to also answer a question where someone was asking about being undeclared and not knowing what to enroll in. I would just say if you have the major in mind, I think the best thing is if that major overlaps with a general education class already, there's no harm in taking it because you're already going to be fulfilling, if not your major requirement, then your general ed. But if you are undeclared and you don't know what classes to schedule, the best thing I would recommend is just enrolling in your general ed classes, because you're going to have to take those regardless of which year you're in. Someone said, like, is there a timeline for fulfilling GEs? Like, it's very individual. That's something I would definitely defer to speaking with an academic advisor about. They're super great. They make 4-year plans with you. But I would say, like, if you are currently undeclared, look at the college you're registered in. Please make sure you're looking at your registered college GEs. The GEs are so different by different colleges. So make sure you're on the right college page. And then if you don't know what to take, that is a great place to start.
Well, I'd like to say that I didn't pick these people, but I did because they're amazing. But we have amazing students. We also think you who are joining us will be just as amazing. So we look forward to meeting you. There's a lot of questions about what will fall look like in registering for classes. UCSD has worked very diligently, separate from being safe so that people can have an on-campus experience in the fall, to make sure that we have some in-person and hybrid options for individuals who choose to live on our campus. We will also have courses that are fully remote, that based on capacity, we don't see a safe way for you to be in person in that capacity of class and be safe. So if you choose to come to campus, there will be some options for you to take class in real time in person with our teams, depending on what classes you register for. And our goal, working diligently with our colleges and others, is to make sure that our freshmen have almost a 50% in-person opportunity, depending on what courses they need to take for their major. So I just want to encourage you that that is an opportunity. As you heard from Dr. Mahaffey, the staff is also looking at what engagement we'll be able to have and connect with you to create community for you to meet with one another in safe ways. And So I just wanted to be able to answer that question in real time. With that, I'd like to take the next time to go to Dr. Sosha next. There's several questions about will Cigna or healthcare how does healthcare work for me when I come? There are also questions about if I get COVID while I'm at school, what happens, right? What does that look like? And they also asked about capacity. And so I think all of those sort of roll into what you've been working very diligently on to make our campus safe.
Right. Thanks, Ebony. So let me clarify the complex world of health insurance. So basically, the university does require that you have some health insurance. If you already covered under a plan, and for many students that might be a plan of their parents, it has to have certain amounts of coverage, financial amounts, as well as you have to have providers of that plan in the San Diego area. So there are a set of criteria that will let you know whether that plan meets criteria. And I heard that the website isn't up on the Triton link. We'll make sure that that is. But there is a process to find out in advance, does the insurance you carry already cover you and meet the requirement? The next part is student health. If you don't have that insurance, then you'll be enrolled in CHIP. If you have that insurance, you can also choose a RAFT option. So student health services are available to all students regardless of insurance. If you enroll in UC SHIP, almost all the charges will be covered when you're at student health. If you need care at a specialist outside of student health, let's say you had to be in the emergency room or you saw a provider when you were at home in San Francisco, SHIP would also cover you. So it covers you outside of the student health services as well as student service fees, at student health. So you're good there with UC SHIP. If you choose private insurance and you have coverage, when you come to student health, your bursar account will be billed, and then you will apply from your insurance to get reimbursed, and we will help you and give you the information to get that reimbursement back. You can also apply for RAFT, and what RAFT does is for a small fee, $65 a quarter, then many of the services at student health will be free and you won't have any bills to your bursar, or you'll have no cost out of pocket. Not for everything, but for a lot of the student health services right on campus. The other point I want to make out is that CAPS there are no charges for the services of CAPS. So the mental health services provided by the CAPS team have no insurance requirement, and there are never any fees associated with that care. As for COVID-19 care, many insurances are not charged. They are covering the cost. There are no co-pays currently associated with COVID-19. For students who were to acquire this virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and have the disease of COVID, as long as they're well and ambulatory, they would move to isolation on campus and get support. If they had to be hospitalized, we would recommend that they get into the university hospital, where we have some great people taking care of COVID patients using the latest clinical trials, clinical information, great medical care there would be available to our students. And that would be the path for actual COVID care. So I think we're in good shape there for you. The questions of capacity and size, we're really trying to figure that out. That is how do we get enough distance from everybody that we reduce and keep viral spread to an absolute minimum? We probably can't keep it at 0. We also know that our students leave our campus and go into the community. Similarly, many individuals come from the community onto campus, our faculty, our staff. So that's why we're looking at a comprehensive approach of screening the campus community on a regular basis to pick up viral activity very early. Hopefully that's helpful.
Extremely helpful. Thank you so much. I have 2 questions for students. Christopher, a student asked, how did you balance work being an engineer and playing in all this theater space that you spoke about? They're very concerned about that. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, I can chime in on that. Let me tell you, it's a lot of time management because the theater productions here are no joke in terms of taking up time, and especially also engineering classes take up a lot of time. And I think what has really helped me is a lot of really mapping out what my quarter is going to look like. So once I know my schedule, which usually happens before like the first week, I usually like print it out or I have a screenshot or something, and then visually, I try to see where my gaps are, and then wherever my gaps are is what I can do, basically, while also accounting in like eating time and like walking time and self-care time. And then also knowing like your limits, because for me, I think that was something that I really struggled with was saying how much was too much. And there were definitely times where I was in over my head and it caused me a lot of stress. But I think I got like, you get into the rhythm of it, of the quarter system, especially after the first year. Like my first year, I was only involved in one theater production, and that kind of took up most of my time for winter quarter, which was Mere Musical. But then as I started getting in more into the rhythm of the quarter system and knowing what I can handle, I was doing like a production per quarter, or I like acted, directed. I did other things outside of theater as well. So I think it's just a huge learning process. It's basically like the overall answer in time management and prioritizing. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. I hope it answers their question as well. The next question I have for the students, there's several questions about what should I do this summer? If I take classes at community college, will they transfer in as prerequisites? Any advice that you can give around that? Lakshmi, you may want to chime in as well, but at least I'll start with the students because they may have some good advice.
So I can answer this with authority because I was a transfer student and I work in our campus's transfer center. So answering questions like this is literally my job. If you take classes over the summer at a community college, one of the things that you'll need to do to ensure that they transfer is, first of all, ensure that the community college courses have equivalents at UCSD's campus. The best way to do this is to go to assist.org. That's again, assist.org. And they have all of the course equivalencies for every community college in the state of California, and how they would transfer to UCSD depending on the department. Assuming that you can find the community college course that you intend to take on that list and that there is an equivalent course at UCSD, the next step would be to meet with the counselor and ensure that you can submit your transcripts from the community college so that UCSD can load in that course and acknowledge that you have indeed completed a comparable course to the one that's offered at UCSD. In the case that the course can transfer, then you will be able to satisfy the prerequisite with a community college course. I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but there are residency requirements for UCSD, especially if you come in as a freshman or a transfer. You do need to take a certain number of units in residence to be qualified to graduate. So again, meeting with the counselor, they can tell you whether you're going to hit that upper threshold of units. And there are also unit limitations on how many units you can transfer in from other institutions in general. So that's also something to be aware of. And one final thing I will say on the matter is that when you transfer a community college course, the credit transfers, but the grade does not. So if you got an A in the community college course, for instance, it would not affect your UCSD GPA at all. So the only thing that would change is that you would get the credit, but you would not see any GPA benefit or deficit from whatever the grade received at community college was.
Thank you. There's another question about, are any of you currently living on campus, and how has that been for you?
I'm currently living on campus. I'm actually a resident advisor, so I am one of the people who would have taken care of you if you were here right now. And it's been really interesting. So like someone mentioned before, UCSD didn't close down the way that other universities did. They did strongly suggest that if you can go home, to go home, especially considering such a tentative like travel environment, you never really know what's going on. And so I think the campus has been fairly accommodating. Dining halls are still open. Our markets are still open. We're on a current like cycle of which ones are open so they can minimize the amount of contact and how many people are coming in and out. I do have like less than 10% of my building still living in here. So I still see my residents. We still send them like our weekly newsletters, which is something that we do with all the events and updates from campus. We added like a COVID-19 update section, but it's very similar, except you spend a lot of time at home and just hours are a lot more limited. So So then, okay, I also participated in the Return to Learn program, which is the COVID testing. So I did the COVID testing. It was not that bad. It was very easy to do by yourself and really, really quick. So.
Thank you so much. Provost Lakshmi, can we talk about orientation, the possible, when people, if you know, register for classes, is that connected to orientation at all? What can they expect to learn from Compass? There's several layers of questions about orientation, Compass, registering for classes.
So let me tell you, first of all, a little bit about Compass. For the longest time, we've been wanting to give students information about the university, and particularly about the colleges, the units that we have, academic advising, student affairs, and so on, what we do, how we do it, and to do it before you come on board so that we can spend our time in orientation on the more one-on-one interactions that we really love to have. So Compass is really a really good one-stop shop for a lot of the background information and the links to your own college and the units that we have there. So the idea is if you complete your the Compass portion of it, and then you go on to some of the completing the deadlines that are involved in there, when you come into orientation, yes, of course, some of that information will be repeated, but a lot of the time in orientation, hopefully, will be spent on small group activities so that you get to know people. I will tell you that I've been working with our orientation folks, and one of the things that they are doing is a very smart thing, and that is preparing both remote options and also in-person options so that they're very easily able to pivot from one to the other. And I can tell you also that based on the things that they have been doing in spring, we've learned a lot about how to do online work with students and still get them together and communicate with each other and to actually build community in the remote environment. So for those of you who are asking questions about whether orientation will be in person and whether it'll be online, some of these decisions will be made as we go forward, but I will tell you that our teams are working extremely hard to make either option just one of the best we can. Now, typically students start registering for classes in August. I know, for instance, that our sixth college has CAT courses, and we are preparing our lists so that you can register in August. The academic advisors, many of the colleges already have some sessions, some Zoom sessions that are available for you. So I would check your college website and see if the academic advising website has sessions that they are setting up right now. And these are simply pre-registration advice sessions. And very often they have your peers on those sessions. And this is really helpful because what an advisor will tell you is very, very good. What a peer advisor will tell you also comes from their personal experience. So once the registration for class is open, we also have academic advisors who are typically during orientation, they have walk-in sessions, or now maybe walk-in Zoom sessions, where they will help you work through your commitments for the fall quarter, but they will also set up appointments for you to make your 2-year or 4-year plan, depending on whether you're a transfer or freshman. And they will reiteratively work with you on that for the next 4 years, for the next 2 years until you graduate. So you don't actually have to have a personal single counselor. They're all trained within a college to help you. So you can literally make a Zoom or a walk-in appointment and get the kind of advice you need. You can also choose to try and have a specific advisor if you've already built a relationship with them.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Lakshmi. Pachia, people are asking about how do you find a roommate?
Okay. With the roommates, when you are going through the housing contract process, we have you fill out a personal history form that has a set of questions for you to answer. It asks things like, if you like to sleep in, are you an outdoorsy person, that type of a thing. So we take those answers, and that's something that we use to help pair you up with a roommate. We do have an option where if you already know someone that you want to room with, then you can request a roommate after you complete the contract process.
Thank you. Now, students, is there any advice you'd modify for finding a roommate? I know you guys have techniques. Is it social media? What is it?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure there should be a class page. It should be called like UCSD class of, oh, yo, the class of 2024. Sorry, just had like a moment. UCSD class of 2024, and then your college specific one should, so say I'm an ERC student, so I would search like Eleanor Roosevelt College class of 2024, and a lot of people often like post in it and they're just like, hey, looking for a roommate, and they'll post a little like picture and like, here are the things I like to do, and y'all can like comment on each other's posts and like go back and forth, and that's a good way to actually get to know someone and then decide whether or not you want to be roommates. That's what a lot of my friends did.
Yeah, I kind of did the same. I went on my Facebook group and I like looked through, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but you get used to it, and then you just text people and you're like, hey, I saw your post, like we have a lot of things in common. My two roommates I met through that, and I am very grateful I did that because they became like my best friends, and it was all because I read their posts and I was like, they seem kind of cool, and I gave it a chance. So I would really advise doing that because they became my best friends.
I know it's been a while, Matt, but I'm going to ask for you to chime in on you just for hanging out with your freshman roommate. Do you remember how you guys found each other and stayed connected?
So I have to be honest, we cheated a little bit. We had different freshman roommates and we lobbied to switch, but we actually negotiated to switch. So it worked out great. So he is one of my best friends, and the two that we traded with are really good friends. And what's really fun is I lived in the Revelle. It's called Fleet now. It was the Mud Huts. I still keep in touch with probably 6 or 7 of the 10 guys that I got to know regularly. Like every month, every other month, we still get together. One of my buddies is a DJ, so he goes online and does live DJs for all the old Triton alums. So yeah, just an awesome time meeting up with my freshman roommate. And like I think a lot of the students said it. Just get involved, try some different things. But I can't say enough about my suite mates and my roommates that I met at UCSD.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to have to come to an end with this, but before we close, Matt, I'm going to have you go first, and then I'm going to go around to the students and some of our staff. People want to know, what are the hidden gems on our campus? So if each one of you could think of a hidden gem. I'm going to cheat and steal Matt's, which is behind us. That's our bear structure. That's one of my favorite places to go visit on campus. I didn't introduce myself, but I have a background in engineering, so I spend a lot of time on that campus. So Matt?
Well, that's a tough one. I'll go hidden again. And there's a big eucalyptus grove in the middle of the campus. And there are a couple trees that are not real trees. And they have speakers in them, and they either sing or they say poetry. They blend in perfectly. Good luck finding it.
That's perfect. I want to go to Louisa, and Lakshmi and Angela, I'm coming to you, and Patty. So just know, Pachia, you guys are not susceptible to my question.
I would probably say Snake Path would probably be my favorite, which is there's Geyser Library, and then there's like the engineering building, and there's like this path, which is the snake path. And basically it's like a snake in the sense that it shed its skin as people walk. Eventually it gets like used up, I guess, and they switch it, but it's never the same as it was before. So if you get a time lapse throughout like the years, you can see it changing, like a snake sheds its skin. And I think that's really cool.
Yacinda?
First of all, I didn't know that, and that just like blew my mind. But my favorite hidden gem is actually right off of campus. So it's called the Torrey Pines Coastal Reserve, or the Scripps Coastal Reserve. Ooh, Scripps Coastal Reserve, which is just like a little cliff. And if you are in Revelle College, it's like 5-10 minute walk, and it's my favorite place to watch the sunset. There's a little trail that goes around it, and there's a little lookout on the cliff, and it blooms in the spring sometimes with a bunch of like yellow flowers, and it's one of my favorite things.
Adrash?
I'd say that one of the most beautiful places on campus is actually the Scripps Institute of Oceanography. I recommend everyone take at least one class there because you'll never feel more calm before an exam, because you can just, there's a campus shuttle that goes down there and you can just take it. There's no problem. You're going to have space on the shuttle, and then you can get off, spend like 15 minutes on the beach, and then just climb up the steps and go to class in the lecture hall that's right there. I don't know any other campus in probably the world where you can do something like that.
Christopher?
Hello. Yeah, actually, I put a list to that answer, so hopefully whoever asked that, check it out. But I forgot to include one. I probably forgot to include a lot, but I've done a lot of exploring, and I think one thing that is amazing is it's called the Ho Chi Minh Trail. It's the entrance is located in the neighborhood across from John Muir College, so it is technically off college, off campus, but if you find it, it's like in between these two gates. Don't worry, it's like a real thing. It's not like trespassing. You're good. And it leads down into the cliffs, and it basically gets you to the beach. And it is a thrilling hike. There's like a part where there's like you have to walk across a plank, and then at the very end you have to use rope to get down the side of the cliff. It's not that steep. It's just there just in case. Don't worry. And it's just overall a really neat experience, and I feel like everyone should go down at least once before they graduate. So.
Excellent. Pachia?
I think for me, it's probably the roof, the green roof on the top of one of our buildings in Keeling. I think it's building 2. It's just a great place to go and hang out. We've got some seating there, and you can watch the sunset. It's a beautiful views, super peaceful.
Patty?
All right, so I guess mine isn't so secret, but it's one of the spots I like on campus, and that is Muir Woods in the middle of Muir, where I worked at Muir for a lot of years, and Muir Woods is a great coffee shop on campus, and if you're on that side of campus, which is the west side, it's a really nice little hidden gem, and they have a coffee drink that they named after me, the Peppermint Patty Mocha, so I have to love that spot.
Lakshmi?
I realized I've been here for almost 30 years, so I've got to say I've got more than one. But first I've got to say I graduated from SIO, got my PhD from SIO, and I cannot speak highly enough about it. Such fantastic views, and I loved working there, so you all should go check it out. Also wanted to say, I think it was Louisa who mentioned the snake path, right? And let me tell you something really, really amazing. That snake path was inspired by an original mural called Same Old Paradise by Alexis Smith. So this snake path is Alexis Smith's work, but it was inspired by her own work, which was a mural called Same Old Paradise. And guess what? Sixth College is getting that mural, and it's a hidden gem because it's been in storage for many, many years, and it's finally going to be put up in our new premises in our brand new 650-person auditorium. It's going to be fantastic to have the original and its offshoot on the same campus. So there you are. It's a future hidden, not so hidden gem. But I will tell you, one of the things that I really love is there is a Stewart collection piece called, I think it's called the Green Table, but at any rate, it is a green table, and it is in the Muir Quad, and I love it because it has all these sayings written all over it. The only thing I will say about it is I really don't like sitting there when it has rained because every one of those little indentations still stay wet. But I will go and stand there and read it any day. It's just fascinating.
Angela?
I have to do the unmute, sorry. This is interesting. When you first said hidden gems, I didn't think of physical places. Everybody named a physical place, which is interesting, and they're really cool. But if you know some of my background, I'll share this to the incoming students. I'm a physician by training. I came here over 30 years ago, and I practiced medicine, complicated medicine, And I eventually moved into a physician executive role, and I was the chief medical officer for 14 years. So I know the health system incredibly well. In retirement, I got to move over to campus and work with student health and student, all those kinds of things. And what struck me in my time now, which is a little over a year and a half, is the incredible voice of the student leaders and the students, and how insightful they are, how involved they are, how they are part of the decision making. They make the decisions all better. And so the voice of the students was a gem that for me, in my role, that I'm incredibly appreciative of. And so as you come into this campus, realize how valued you are and your colleagues are. So I think the voice of the students is my hidden gem.
Well, it's hard to say anything after that. I see there's a lot of questions about fall and what it'll look like. More to come as we get closer to that time period. Thank you all for sharing your hidden gems. Thank you for honoring our students in your hidden gem, Angela. That was absolutely amazing. I see there's a lot of questions about AP testing. We'll work to see how we can get that information out to you, as we don't have a subject matter expert on this call right now around that. We really appreciate you for being here. I really appreciate our panelists. Those were great answers. I always learn something new. Here are some helpful sites for you to reference as we close out this session. We have admissions. I know you've been connected with them, or you wouldn't even know that we've accepted and would love to have you join us as a Triton. Campus Life, which represents student affairs, which is responsible for most things that happen outside of the actual classroom. And it has a very robust website. A lot of people are concerned about safety, and our police work great on our campus with us collaboratively, students, staff, and faculty. Financial aid, we had a lot of questions about that today. Housing and dining was our superstar. Thank you so much, Pachia, for answering your questions, and your colleagues that you guys didn't get to meet, but we know we're here helping us. We appreciate it. College pre-orientation, you heard about Compass and got more details about that. And then last but not least, you wouldn't be here, most of you, without the support of your parents and families. And so we have a robust system to have them be connected to us as Tritons. With that, I'd like to thank all of our panelists for being with us. I thank you for taking the time. We have a way of capturing the questions that we didn't answer. We had over 140 answered, either directly or indirectly. And there's only 21 that we didn't directly get to, but we will make sure that you get more information and more to come. We're happy to be connected with you, happy to have you choose UCSD, and we look forward to being in person with you as soon as the world allows. Thank you to Matt Newsom, our alumni, for representing. And sounds like we have two other alumni I didn't realize. I knew Pachia and Lakshmi. So thank you all. Have a great evening.